Oh, there we go. Okay, hold on. And now, technically, we are live. So I'm going to act like we're live here. I'll wait for us to come on. There we go. And go live. Okay, cool. Back to there. We are live on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at the same time. Welcome everybody to Beyond the Ridge, Over the Ridge. Hello, Pam. Hello, Pam. Thanks for joining us here. She goes, hi, fly. Hi, fly.
Hello, hello.
We are live on Sunday afternoon, evening in Europe. Birchin, hello. Miss Angelique is in the house. We are great. We are
Here
great.
we go.
Elizabeth, hello, hello. People are logging in. They're coming in fast and furious. Elizabeth, Marco, Patrizia, Daniela, hello. Thank you for joining us. And Patrizia is in Reggio Calabria. I just wanted to say that again. Kenneth, hello, hello. Let's see, we have Tina Garrett. Tina's in Australia.
From everywhere.
Australia, if I remember correctly. Jennifer, also from Sydney, Australia. Susan goes, hello. Susan Wills goes, hello, run and fly. And Sophia in Barbados. Hello in Barbados. So we are live with Over the Ridge. This is, believe it or not, show number 6. We're on show number 6, and we have a very, very special guest today. We are going to bring in a dear old friend of both Fly and myself named John Ford Coley. I'll introduce him more when I bring him in a minute. We're just letting everybody log in. I really appreciate you guys logging in. Even my lovely wife, Devin, is in there. She says, hello, Facebook. Yeah, you can log in literally on my channels on YouTube. The YouTube channel is called Devron Films. Devron Films, DEVRONN That's the channel you can see on YouTube, and just at Ron Moss on Instagram. And I think it's at Ron Moss1 on Facebook. Anyway, there we go.
I want to say hello.
Yeah.
Hang on. I want to say hello to Debbie Marshall. Because I just seen some people, Ron Adamson, the great Ron Adamson, who we spoke of earlier, and we'll follow up on that shortly. He's in with us today. So anyway, that's good. That's carry on once again.
We have Dominique. Dominique is in Belgium. Hello, sweet girl. Say hello to your daughter. And Yvonne in South Carolina, excuse me. Marco is in the Netherlands. I love when everybody puts where they're from initially, so I can see where everybody's from. We see a lot of similar people each week, but it's hard to remember everything about everybody. So I can't remember who the frick I am sometimes the day after I get up. Jamie from Savannah, Georgia. And Jim is in the Caribbean. Very cool. All right, let's bring in our guest, Mr. John Ford Coley. Who's talking on the phone? Somebody's in the background talking on the phone. We can hear everything. All right, I'll bring you in, Johnny. Here we go. And 3, 2, 1. Everybody, this is John Ford Coley.
Hey, everybody. Good to see you.
Hey, John. Hey.
Hey, Fly. Hey, Ron.
Hey, man.
Johnny, we all know each other from touring together. we would all tour, and when Fly had his group Orleans, they would usually back all of us up, and the guys in they would be the backing band, and John would come out and do his set, and I would come out with my music partner back then and do our stuff, and it was a great touring combo. But John mostly is a solo artist and does most of his shows solo. So tell us a little bit about John Ford Coley, just for people who overseas or wherever who may not know you personally.
Oh gosh. Well, as many of you are aware, I was in a group called England Dan and John Ford Coley, and I did that with my partner Dan for about 15 years. We started off in high school together. Hated one another at first because he didn't want me in the band because I was a keyboard player and he wanted another guitar player. But I got the job, and it was very interesting because seriously, we did not get along that well when we first met. And then we would travel to various gigs together, and we're singing Everly Brothers and Righteous Brothers. And Dan always took the lead, I always took the harmony. And we just kind of developed a sound from that, began to respect one another's abilities, and got to be closer than brothers, and ended up being partners for about 15 years until about 1980. Wow. About 1980, yeah.
Very cool. So most of the shows you do now, you don't even have a backing band. You just go out on your own.
Right? I go out on my own because I get along with myself very well. You know, I don't have to argue with anybody. I'm not going to worry if I'm going to show up late, or if I want to take an extra 15 minutes for lunch. Hey, you know, who's going to complain? I'm not going to say anything. You know, if I want some, I don't have to worry about all the food being eaten when I come off stage, and, you know, whatever was there for snacks and stuff is all gone. It's a good world when you play by yourself. I was talking with a guy one time. We were doing a sound check. There was so much tension. There was so much animosity. Things were going on. They couldn't get it right. Everybody's kind of hostile and angry at one another. And I looked at the guy next to me and I said, hey, if anybody ever tries to tell you that thing about musicians are all about peace and love, they clearly have never been to a sound check. So... And when I do a sound check, if I'm up there 10 minutes, I'm there 5 minutes too long. You know, that kind of a thing.
Yeah, we've all been in those situations. Most people don't know the sound check ritual that goes on. Oh, yeah. For me, whenever I would go up on the sound check, I'd always try and wait until the drums finished, because the drummer sound checking is always like horrendous. Yeah. Because they hit the snare drum over and over and over and the sound guys bringing up volumes and checking stuff, and it's horrendous to be on stage listening to those coming through the monitors.
It's just like this is all great stuff. I want to tell you about Orleans. I actually am spoiled by Orleans because I'm I tend to be a meticulous person, and Orleans has this, and I think that John, you guys maybe both have witnessed it, you know, that Lance Hoppin runs a very tight ship on our sound checks, and we do a very systematic thing, and everyone has their job. Once he tweaks out the frequencies, and he knows how to tell the sound guys all the Ks and everything, such and such K, or, you know, the frequencies, I don't know anything about that stuff. And he gets them across the board, and then we all come out and everybody has to take their turn, like we do with mix one. If it's John Hall, John will, you know, we'll get John's sound right, and everybody takes their turn. It's very meticulous. It takes a long time, but it's great when it's done. It's like an audio environment.
Yep. Johnny, one of the things that Fly and I have done for each broadcast, we've told a story of the road, a story about either involving one of our cohorts, something funny that happened along the road. And we just tell people, because most people don't know those stories of what goes on behind the scenes and you know, in the dressing rooms or wherever. But the funny shit that happens is a lot when you have a group of people all going out and touring. And if you think of anything along the way, just chime in.
Okay. Yeah, I ended up writing a book, a thing called Backstage Pass. And it wasn't about drugs, sex, and rock and roll. It's just all the ridiculous things that go on that nobody would think would go on. And we spend a good portion of the time either fighting or laughing. There's no in between. You're either, oh, I'm sorry, there is an in between. You're eating. So that's about it.
Here, let me, I'm going to bring in the video that was done so many years ago of you in England, Dan. And this was one of your first hits. And you guys were being introduced by Wolfman Jack on the Midnight Special. So, like I said, you probably won't, you may not be able to hear all the volume and stuff, but it'll be playing, and I'll just bring you back in after we do it. But just keep in mind that unless I mute you, you can still hear. So this is England Dan and John Ford Coley being introduced on Midnight Special years and years ago. Here we go. And I'm going to take this up. Hold on. And that's not what I wanted. After this. And
Next Up Some Fellas, whose first single of 1976 went gold just a few months ago. And even as I stand here running my jaws, their second one is making its way steadily up to the top of the charts. Great way to start a new year for England Dan and John Ford Coley.
Hello, yeah, it's been a while. Not much. How about you? I'm not sure why I called. I guess I really just wanted to talk to you. And I was thinking maybe later on we could get together for a while. It's been such a long time and I really do miss your smile. I'm not talking about moving in, and I don't want to change your life, but there's a warm wind blowing the stars around, and I'd really love to see it tonight. We could go walking through Windy Park, take a drive along the beach, or stay at home and watch TV. You see, it really doesn't matter much to me. I'm not talking about moving in, and I don't want to change your life, but there's a warm wind blowing the stars around, and I'd really love to see it tonight. I won't ask for promises, so you don't have to lie. We both played that game before. Say I love you and say goodbye. I'm not talking about moving in, and I don't want to change your life, but there's a warm wind blowing the stars around, and I'd really love to see you tonight. I'm not talking about moving in, and I don't want to change your life, but there's a warm wind blowing the stars around, and I'd really love to see you tonight. I'm not talking about moving in, and I don't want to change your life, but there's a warm wind blowing the stars around, and I'd really love to see you tonight.
Okay, hold on. And in and in. We're back. So, Johnny, that when I pulled up your Midnight Special, it reminded me of when my group Player did our thing on that show. And the second time we did the show, we hosted. We were the hosts of the Midnight Special, right? So we would introduce. And I was looking for my little segment where I have to introduce like the whatever band it was. And I don't know why. It's like my voice hadn't changed yet. Because I literally sounded like, and I'd like to introduce the Midnight Traveling Band. We have our next guest like this, and I was talking like this, and I just went, "What the fuck is what is wrong with my voice?" We all had a laugh after that. I couldn't believe it. It's like I didn't use my voice back then, but it made me laugh. You guys are fine, but it made me laugh.
That was the puberty Midnight
It was
Special section.
pre-puberty. It must have been, yeah.
You know, there is a possibility, though, John, that is actually his real voice, and it's the other voice that he's putting on. Maybe his real voice is like that.
Yeah, we've
That's not
got
true,
we've
right?
got
You're releasing
the
secrets
picture
now.
of Ron Moss, you know.
You're releasing secrets that I don't want to get out. I don't want this stuff out.
Okay, just
Okay,
you know,
so back off a little
so
bit.
try to cover the bases here. Anyway,
Do you have any stories, Johnny, of funny things from your book what's the first one that comes to mind?
One of the first ones, actually, it didn't make it into the book yet. I'm either going to have to rewrite the book or I'm going to have to make an addendum to it. But I was traveling in Maryland. I'm trying to get to a place called Annapolis. I'm playing at a place called the Ram's Head. When you come into the town, it's the first time you come into the town, there's a large town square. There's a big church in the middle of it. So all of a sudden, my GPS stops working. There's no signs on any of the 4 streets that I might have to turn down to get to the club. So I'm going round and round and round. And I'm thinking, I don't know, I came from that direction. That's not it. Okay, is it this? It could be that. I don't know. And I don't have trouble making decisions. So I'll just turn. So I'm going round and round. Must have gone around that thing 30 times. I finally see a guy off on the right sitting on a park bench, and he's playing a banjo. A banjo, for crying out loud. And I thought, okay, this guy, he's got to be local. He's got to know where this place is. So I roll down the passenger window. I'm going to ask him. I roll around. Just when I get to him, before I can say anything, he yelled out, "Don't quit now, kid. You're in second place."
yeah, man.
That is funny, Johnny.
But he knew
rest
where
is
the
history.
Ram's Head was. That was the
Oh
funny
my
part.
God. That's funny.
Oh my goodness. Oh.
So yeah,
Fly,
I mean,
you got
things, you know what it's like. Things
I what?
happen all the time.
there's always stuff that happens on the road. That's what I wanted to base this show on, just letting people kind of a backstage view of what happens and stuff. Fly and I've told a lot of stories about our compadres on the road, and some of them are very funny. Some of them are pithy, but we
Well,
go
it's
from
kind
there.
of fun to pick on one another. I mean, you're out there with these guys all the time. I joke on stage and I say, I talk about actors and musicians because I've done film as well. And my comment is, after you leave these guys, you've been out on the road with them for 2 months, and then you come back, see them again in 2 weeks. Within 15 minutes, all the jokes are gone. There's no fashion tips. Nobody's got anything to really offer or to say. And I said, and none of them could do anything that I wanted to talk about. They were terrible at diagramming, Latin sentences. None of them could, talk about nuclear fission. Descartes, they couldn't do that in the original language. I mean, what good were they? They could only talk about, women in music. And I don't like talk about music. So it was entirely different. But now with actors, now you've been an actor, Ron, so you will definitely understand this. There's a thing called day players. And what they do is they constantly come in, they parade in, got 2 days worth of work, maybe 3 days, and they've always got fresh jokes. So you're always being bombarded with fresh material and fresh information.
Right.
Well, we had the first film that I did was a thing called Scenes from the Gold Mine, and I played the drummer in the band. Timothy B. Schmidt was the bass player. As a matter of fact, I had the drum kit. We got the drum kit from your drummer and player. That was what I played on.
Really?
And so I had to learn how to play drums. They were at my house, and I had to learn all those songs. So we have a young girl that comes in. She's in the band, but she's being kicked out of the band and doesn't know it. So she comes in on our rehearsal. And here's Catherine Mary Stewart, who is now playing the keyboard. She pitches this conniption fit, just hissy fit. She just goes crazy. We have to throw her out. That young girl was Pamela Springsteen. That was Bruce's sister. So when Pam and I see one another, it's like we're cloned at the hip. We just being like that. We're like brother and sister. And she's telling me, John, I'm working so hard. I'm trying to get out from under Bruce's shadow. I'm studying. I'm becoming as believable as I can. I'm taking as many classes as I can. And I'm just trying to encourage her, keep going. You've done some things. They're going to catch on to you. It's all networking. You know that. Her last day, she comes in, she sees me on the set, she runs over to me, grabs me by the arm, and she goes, John, I talked to my brother Bruce last night. He knows who you are. He said he'd love to get together with you sometime. You guys could write, maybe play. If you wanted to go out on the road, do stuff like that. And for me to give you his telephone number. And I was shocked, and I said, really? She said, no, I was just acting. But did you believe me?
So you guys were like the original Partridge Family.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, after that. No, but that was so funny. You have things that just pop up.
Hey, Fly, you in the mood to play something?
I could do that. You want to
You feel like doing
give
that?
it a shot?
Yeah.
Like, sure.
Can you do it?
See if this,
whatever song you do, Fly, can you do it like a Lithuanian disco polka style? Because I'm really in that kind of mood,
It's amazing that you even. I can't even believe you said that, because all of my songs are written with that basic theme.
Hey, Johnny, is it true?
It's all I ever write.
Fly told me that you have a beautiful Martin guitar, and he asked if he could. He asked if he could try it one day. And do you remember what you said?
We were in the dressing room, and his guitar was sitting there in its case, lying there with the open case, and the whole band was around, and I was describing some kind of a song, and I said, well, why don't I just play it? And I looked over to John, and I said, John, is it okay if I use your guitar for a minute? And he said, sure, that's absolutely perfectly fine by me, so long as under one condition. I said, what's that? He said, that you don't actually touch it.
or adopt it.
Yeah, right. But that's what he said. And so I was like, oh shit, man, is he serious? Should I pick this up or not? Because we didn't know each other too well at that time, but it's been, it's been a long time. You and I, gosh, how long have I known you, John Ford Coley?
Actually, we've been playing together since Larry was still in the band, Larry Hoppin.
Yeah.
So we've been playing together since about 2003 at least.
There you go.
Been a long time. It's been 20 years at least.
Wow.
That's really, it's really amazing. And it's always fun. I love the sound checks more than anything else. He was talking about sound checks, but his sound checks were always so funny. I have a picture of him in my John Ford Coley working at the piano, and the stage, it was like torrentially downpouring, and this like sort of, we had an open stage. It was open, but I mean, there was cover. But anyway, John Ford Coley was completely covered. Somebody put a big sheet of clear plastic over his head. So he was completely covered in plastic and the keyboard, and he was just with his headphones, like working on the keyboards, and I took a couple of pictures of that. It's just priceless, you know. It's just
I've
great.
got those. I have those photos.
Oh,
That
oh
was
yeah,
fun.
good.
So everybody, I just wanted to let you see the real John Ford Coley is his moniker, I guess, on Facebook. And I don't know if it's the same on any other medium. Do you have any other mediums, Johnny?
Actually, I've just got a fan page. I had Instagram for a while, but I've not been on there.
Okay, so
And when I
Facebook.
get on Facebook, I do everything in the world to make people laugh. Sometimes I'll complain about something, you know, like maybe the population, you know, here in town, but I mainly talk about pie because I figure that if you can argue with somebody about pie, you don't have a whole lot going for you. So don't really want
What's
to
this thing
get
about
into
pie?
it.
You seem to like, you have a multitude of different types of pie.
I love pie. I sat down one night with some friends of mine from oh gosh, 1910 Fruit Gum Company, and there was a pie. Nobody was eating it. I literally ate that entire thing, and they went, "My goodness, man, you're serious about the pie thing, aren't you?" And I went, "Man, I'm like a horse. You hit me with a pie. There's no such thing as you know 8 slices to a pie. There's two. That's it, and sometimes none.
Very
So
nice.
if I make one around here, it's literally gone that evening. I can't stop myself."
I think we're interrupting Fly actually playing something on the guitar here.
I was gonna grab a water. I got a tune I'd like to play.
You got a tune you can play. Play something instrumental. You don't need the water.
Oh yeah. Well, be like one of those ventriloquists. I could do both, you know, while I'm drinking the water. It's a song from my most recent Beautiful World CD, and it goes like this. I opened my eyes. She lay next to me, sleeping like a baby. That's the way it's supposed to be. I looked around. Nothing appeared to have changed. But there was one thing that my heart could not ignore. Jenny doesn't love me anymore. I read the news. She had the radio on. She was standing in the sunlight when they played our favorite song. And she took my hand and she nursed me from my seat. Then we both did our dance across the floor. Oh, but Jenny doesn't love me anymore. But she still smiles like an angel in the moonlight. And she still cries like a baby in the dark. She's a sing child. She was when I found her, with sweet silence all around her. I closed my eyes and started to fall asleep, sleeping with my baby. Ain't that the way it's supposed to be? She turned out the light and she pushed up close to me, the way she has 1,000 times before. Oh, Oh, but Jenny doesn't love me. Jenny doesn't love me. Oh, Jenny doesn't love me anymore.
Very nice, Fly. Very nice.
You know,
Beautiful.
Fly, you need to come into Nashville because we've got so many clubs here, but they have what's called Songwriter in the Round. And we'll have two,
Mm,
three, sometimes four people that will be in a round. So you just play a song, the next person plays a song, and you just continue to go around. And
sure.
those kinds of songs just they fit so well in that format because it's a very
Hmm.
intimate setting anyway. You normally have tops 100 people, so I think you would enjoy
I did
that.
a I did a couple of those. I did one of those at the Bluebird, I think, years
Yeah.
ago. It's a long,
Uh-huh.
long time ago. Yeah. But yeah, that's true. That's it. And I kind of stole that concept and brought it up into the Northeast. Well, I shouldn't take full credit, but I do I do know that my Nashville experience, um, that's stuck in my mind. That songwriter in the round format was just wonderful. So, I
Yeah.
started to put a few shows together, some self-promoted local shows up in this area that were just nothing but that. Where it was songwriters in the round. It was very successful. Very good, good way to go.
Yeah. So
Yolanda just asked, she tuned in at a certain point and missed who John Ford Coley used to be with when he first started out. And it was a duo called England Dan and John Ford Coley. And that's what we initially grew up with, these two guys doing what they did, having several hits. And
we were all actually around the same kind of time period, weren't we?
yeah, late
Yeah. You
70s.
late 70s, yeah. That's when we were there. Orleans was around late 70s, early
Yeah,
80s. I think
Mhm.
we
yeah,
all drifted over into the 80s by about a year or so.
yeah. I think we did. Yeah, it was a great time. Really great time for
Oh,
music.
it was magical. There were so many new things and it was such a melodic time. I mean, you could just literally hear a melody and they were all so identifiable and so good. Even now, when I hear it, just the intro to a song, I can literally tell you what the song's going to be within three notes or just a particular drum beat. That was the magical time.
Mm.
Johnny, you're mainly a keyboard player, right?
Right. Uh-huh.
But do you also play guitar as well when you do your live shows, or do you
I
just
play
stick to the
guitar. I
keyboard?
used to split it up a lot more. But about 3 years ago, I messed up my hand, my thumb. And so it's a little difficult for me to finger pick, which is what I really enjoy doing. So being able to play something very quickly now, like I used to do, is a little bit more difficult. So I stumble through it. So I strum a little bit more, but I really prefer finger picking.
Just curious, do you have that Martin, uh, the Martin that Fly was talking about?
I do, not in my lap. It's right over here in the case.
Oh,
But
okay.
I've got another one. I like Martins. They've got a density that is really heartwarming for me. The only guitar that I've gotten that wasn't a Martin was a Recording King recently, and a friend of mine showed it to me. It's a 0028. And that thing, it sounded like a Martin. I put it up against a Martin and I went, well, it's about $5,000 cheaper. And it sounds just as good. So that's what I grabbed.
We're getting into
Yeah.
music talk now,
Yep.
boys and girls. This is
Yeah.
music talk. We're talking serial numbers of guitars now.
That's right. The binding's coming up. The bridge needs a little bit of work. And I tell you, if you get on the technical stuff, the thing that I've been dealing with more than anything else recently, and I never recall it before, was the humidity factor.
I'm going to have to
Guitars,
deal with that here in Arizona pretty soon. I'm going to have
oh
to
yeah, you
make,
have to have that humidifier all the time. And I know that guitars, for a fact, have a desire to go back to being a tree. and I've had a couple that have made that transition, so I have to keep water in them all the time.
Wow, you're right.
Mm.
You're right. That's going to be a serious consideration here if we, during the summer, it gets up to 115 or so in
Yeah.
Arizona. So
Well,
I have
maybe,
a friend that has
maybe
an
that's
environment. Go ahead.
yeah. Oh, I was just thinking maybe that's maybe that's one of the reasons why that guitar was so beautiful. I remember that moment that I played that the one we're talking about. I think.
Yeah, it
Correct
was
me if
just
I'm wrong. It was a
65.
60 set of 66, a 65, 66 G18,
65. Yeah.
65.
Yeah.
It was just amazing. To me, it was the most beautiful guitar I ever played. I thought it was great, and perhaps like it must be a testimony to the way you're keeping it.
Well, it's very interesting about that guitar because it's got some notches in the keyboard, in the fretboard, and so I can play right through them. But I took it in one time for repairs, and a guy said, "You know what? I can fix those so that the fretboard is even again." And I said, "Are you kidding me? The guy that owned this guitar used to play with Stephen Stills." I said, "You ain't touching it," because whoever played this guitar loved it and they played it a lot. So, no, you ain't touching my guitar.
Johnny, strum a couple chords on it. Let's hear it. Let's hear what it sounds like.
This is actually a D16. I got this one. So I take it out with me quite a bit. I go back and forth between guitars because I feel guilty, not playing them, because sometimes I'll take the 16, sometimes I'll take the 41. But what I have the most fun doing is when I get on an airplane, because I refuse to put my guitar under a case. I don't want a baggage man touching it. And like the other day, I get onto the plane coming home from Fort Myers. Right when I get on, people start saying, "Oh, hey, you're going to play us? You're going to serenade us?" And I go, "No, I'm sorry. You misunderstood. You've mistaken. This is a guitar case, but I have my collection of airplane pretzels that I've been collecting for over the years. It's not a guitar." Then they go half.
Does that shut them up?
After you
I
say
put my
that.
guitar in the overhead bin. Because that's why I fly Southwest most of the time, because nobody else really has those big bins anymore. And I know I'm going to get on the plane. So the lady was having difficulty getting her stuff up where my guitar was in the bin. And I said, "Yeah, one guy one time got very, very angry at me because I had my guitar in the bin and he couldn't get his luggage up there." And I said, he was pretty nasty. She said, "What did you do?" I told him that my $5,000 guitar was infinitely more expensive than the dirty underwear in his luggage. And it just shut him right up.
Yeah.
So
Cute stories. Cute stories.
I love the stories from the road. You had a young lady you mentioned at the beginning of the show. I forget what her name was. I didn't catch it, but she was from Belgium.
Yes.
Belgium's a beautiful country. I'd been over there years ago. I actually went from Brussels to London on the boat. So hello, bonjour, or actually right now it's gosh, bonne nuit for you.
Yeah, she may be in the feed. I can't always see everybody, but she usually joins us as well. Her name is Ella Luna.
Hello.
If we have time, I'll put on a video that we made. But right now, let's just keep going with our live stuff. This is a song that I'd like to do from my recent album called Surprise Trip Love. And it's called Follow Your Heart. And believe it or not, I wrote it originally on piano, which I don't really play. I don't claim to be a piano player, but I'm going to try doing it on the guitar instead for you guys, because
I know a keyboard player that can help you. He happens to be right here. So
Yeah.
Johnny,
he
you know
had a
this.
player.
Next time we'll get Johnny to play it, and I'll just sing it, and we'll be completely off sync. Fly Fly and I explained the technology because I know people are going to go, why won't all three of you just play something together? And I explained that it's just not possible. We don't have the technology. We don't have the studio T2 lines and everything we'd need to make that happen. So we have to do it separately. So this is called Follow Your Heart. There are things out there you can't really see. They're beyond your field of real. There are layers of dimensions, energies of light that calcify your true self and feel. The scars of my experience are still etched in my mind, but there's always a bigger there. Don't underestimate the hole your absence would leave. You cannot drink yourself sober there. Follow your heart, it's always right, always true. Follow the art of being you. I'll sing a funny song of forgive and take mess. This too has come to me in a dream. If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. Let your consciousness flow into the stream. I often think, where would I be now if I'd only made some choices that were different somehow. Don't be afraid to go out on a limb. That's where the sweetest fruit does grow. A canvas framed in silence of a picture without color. Keep your eyes open in darkness and we know. Follow your heart, it's always right, always true. Follow the art of being you, being you.
We got to get you in one of those rounds here in Nashville too.
Mhm.
Those are cool songs, guys. That's the new album.
Yeah, the new album, Surprise Trip Love, it's half the songs were, I wrote them for a movie that we've filmed and produced. And then the other half of the songs are songs that I came up with to finish the album. And it was one of those, it's been one of those inspired things that I'm very, very proud of this album. It's truly kind of came out of a lot of godlike and inspiration for me. So I'm very happy, but we all have our new music. So I'm hoping people go and check it out because there's always more where this stuff came from. But I love being able to do these songs for everybody on this. Fly and I, here, I'll show you. My wife just handed me
There you go.
that thing.
I got some CDs here. I don't know.
You know, it's really
Yeah.
interesting
Somewhere.
because I've had people say, you know, well, what have you been doing for the last so many years? Because again, we're not on radio except for the older songs. and it's very intriguing to me because we'll always have our hands in it somewhere. There was a song that I had written for a film a couple of years back, a thing called Major League Three for the minors, Back to the Minors. And so, oh, cool, Fly. That's your
I'm
new one,
listening.
right?
Yeah. Carry on, carry on.
So there was they didn't let me sing the song because again, I didn't have a deal. And so they had another guy. They did a bunch of stuff on Curb Records, got a bunch of the artists. Well, Mike Curb comes in and never met the man before. He owns the company. He was the lieutenant governor of California. He had the Curb generation. He was involved in all these musical projects. And so we're standing there just not really knowing what to say to one another. I'm an artist and he's a suit and we normally just kind of go like that. You don't mix. So finally he looked at me and he said, "So, are you still in music?"
Oh, God.
And I thought, okay, hands down, that's got to be one of the dumbest questions I've ever been asked. And so I said, yeah, it's a lot like being in the mob. We take a blood oath. We just keep doing it. And he goes, oh, okay. He's looking for a way to get out of there. And I said, I wrote the song. I wrote the song that you're listening to. It's like, oh, yeah, okay, fine. So it was like,
Somebody
guys, just because we're not on the radio, you've always got your hand in it. You really do. You're writing something. If
somebody
anybody ever
just
hears it or not, that's not the point. The point is that it's self-expression. So you continually do something that's going to bring
yeah.
you enjoyment. And I play all the time. I cannot play. I'm going to tell you a quick little story because you're probably going to think I'm nuts when I tell you this, but it had a
No, we think you're
great
nuts anyway, but
influence.
go ahead.
Anyway, but it had a great influence on how I viewed music. When I was about 19, I was in a band with Dan down in Texas. And I'm going to school. I'm in college. So I'm not really practicing the way that I should be practicing. I'm losing my skills. I don't have a piano up there, number one. So we go to a Thursday night rehearsal. They inform me that I'm going to be fired if I don't pick up the slack because I'm not playing the way that I should be playing. So they're going to fire me. And it made me angry because I really enjoyed doing it. And the next morning, I'm driving back to school and I actually heard a voice. I've heard voices 3 times in my head in my life. And that was the first time. And it scared the bejesus out of me, scared me to death. I think I'm going nuts. But I remembered precisely what I heard. And it was, I gave you the gift. What you do with the gift is up to you. But if you don't use the gift, I will take it from you and I will give it to someone who will.
Wow.
I became exceedingly serious about music, about playing, learning, picking up new stuff. I came to Nashville, someone would play something, and I always had the presence of mind because they'll play you under the table in Nashville. They'll make you look like a fledgling neophyte. But I had the presence of mind to always go, whoa, stop. What did you just do? Show me how you played that. I want to learn from that. So you're always learning. And that to me is the essence of it. It's not something that you get to a certain point and then you stop because you're not on the radio anymore. You play simply because you play. Because the object of music, in my estimation, is not a recording contract. The object of music is to play and just enjoy yourself. So when I come up here into the studio, which is an absolute mess right now because I'm rearranging everything, I don't play the songs that you would expect to hear me play on stage. I'm playing Bach and Beethoven and the things that I really enjoy playing because they bring me such enjoyment. So I'm sure you guys
I
go
just
through
wanted
similar things.
I wanted to say because you may be thinking of it was only this morning that a friend of mine who I hadn't seen in a long time walked by me and asked if I was still playing. I just very simply answered him. I gave him an answer that I've given other people. I just said, it's really the only thing I'm trained to do. You know what I mean? That's what I
Yeah.
say. And it's, they kind of go, oh yeah, okay. And it's like, so,
I think what you guys are saying is
yeah.
real important because we don't always talk
In it for
about
life.
why we're doing music and
Yeah.
what do we get out of it and why do musicians have such a kind of a unique position in this world. And when we all started, it was possible for us to make an album, to sell that album, and to actually make a living to whatever degree that we made it. Now, a lot of that's gone away.
Yeah.
That impetus of just working for money or something has kind of gone away because of the technology of stuff. Now, the only way you can really support yourself as a musician is if you go and you play live.
Mhm.
And it's a strange thing that every musician has had to realize this fact. And so you really, as you said, Johnny, you just have to. It has to be in your soul, and you have to do it because you love it. You just want to. You can't. Maybe you can't help doing it, or you want to do it. I was playing something earlier before we started the broadcast, and it was a little up-tempo thing. And my wife is coming in and she's dancing, and I could see the smile on her face. It made her so happy just to hear that little song I was playing. And she feels like she's responsible for keeping me going as a musician because she gives me the encouragement to do all that, which she does. And I love her for doing that. But that thing
Yeah,
of the motivation, what is
it's
our
the
motivation
motivation,
for doing it? Yeah.
but it's a hunger. I know one time I was playing with a couple of guys on a thing, and I called one of them, and he said, "John," he says, "Man, I pulled my guitar out of the case, and I put new strings on. I've been practicing your stuff. I'm ready to go. I got your stuff down." And I said, "You pulled your guitar out of the case?" And he said, "Yeah, and I put new strings on it, like I said, and I've been practicing your stuff, and I got it down. I'm ready to go." And I said, "You pulled your guitar out of the case?" And he said, "Yeah, I pulled my guitar out of the case." And I said, "What the hell was it doing in the case?" I mean, I come home, the first thing that gets unpacked is my guitar. This piano's never covered. And I come into this room on a continual basis. I'm just passing through and I see the keyboard and I go, "Oh, I got to fire it up." And you fire it up and you play a little bit and then you go on. But it's like, I've had them say, I played one time in the Philippines and they said, "Don't bring your guitar. We'll have a guitar for you there." And I said, "And what do I do in the airport? And what do I do on the air and on the in the hotel room? Guys, I don't play this thing just when I'm on stage. I pick it up all the time. I'm running stuff, I mean, you get inspired like that." So I had a
I
funny
agree.
story. We had a guy, he was at a church. The guy had a great voice, he really did. But he beat the guitar to death. He would just literally pound that thing. He had no finesse. And so everything that he did was with a capo. So he would put the capo up on the G fret. So now he's singing in B flat. And one time he modulated. He went from, or he'd play everything in the position of G, but he's singing in B flat. So he's got the capo on, he's playing in G, and he modulates a step. Instead of taking and moving it up to the A position fingering, in the middle of the song, he moves the keyboard or the capo up to the A fret and continues to play in the G position. And I thought, good Lord, man, it's like learn how to play an F sharp. And so we had a class, and he happened to be in the class. And I opened my guitar case and I pulled out my capo and I said, "Everybody got one of these?" Everybody said, "Yeah," it's like reaching for the capo. And I said, "Okay, the best place for your capo," and I threw it in the guitar case and slammed the cover. I said, "It's in your guitar case. It's a special thing. It's not a crutch. Learn to play an F sharp." And it really motivated a lot of people to get better on playing because, it's just like, don't slack off. This is an instrument that you're never going to learn. You're just going to continue to grow with it. So continue to grow.
You're a passionate soul, Johnny.
I do get fired up sometimes, that's for sure.
Johnny, before we started the podcast, he goes, Ron, I just wanted to tell you, I'm not one of those guys that will just sit and answer the questions. Yes, no, maybe. Meaning he can tell a story. And I said, Johnny, we know this about you. We've been around you enough to know that you're going to be the story guy. We got it. Very
Oh, I
cool.
love story. I was raised on stories. Those to me just they thrill me, and I love hearing stories. Just it's good stuff.
Hey, basically what the three of us, I'll just be specific to the three of us, do is tell stories. And
Yeah.
half the
Can-
time we're
can I
playing
put- can I
a
put you-
guitar along with it.
Yep.
We get
We
this
all write
tabulated,
music.
Sorry.
We all write music. We all tell our stories, tell stuff, and some of it has music, some of it doesn't. Some of it's a cappella. There
John.
we go.
Are you sure you might not have a song you want to play now?
Well,
I'll put you on the
the ones
spot.
that I've got are like, just you've heard the one like lying in bed. It's early in the morning too. Remember that. So singing wise,
Yeah.
radio, moonlight falls like rain. Remember that? Didn't know
Yeah.
it would be so strong. Waiting and wondering about you. Didn't know it would last so long. Nights are forever without you. We did that one.
Nice.
One that I like to do on stage and mess with everybody now is I tell them I've changed my writing style. So we have all these love songs, but love songs aren't working because we got so much hate and animosity. So I started writing a bunch of hate songs,
Yeah.
And so it took them to Nashville. So my favorite one was when I think of good loving, oh baby, your name just don't come up. I think of love all the time, just not yours and mine. So just go away, stay away, cough, choke, die. There you go. But they didn't like those songs,
They didn't like them. I can't imagine
I
why.
can't. It beats me. Short-sighted.
You
That's
sing
what
the
it is.
silly hate songs. Oh boy.
Silly hate songs. I love it. Hey, well, I want to just thank you, Johnny, for joining us. It was a pleasure having you on.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
sure
I'm
was,
glad
man.
you asked me. I hadn't talked to you for a while.
I know
Right.
it's been. I know you and Devin have talked on Facebook and have messaged back and forth and stuff, but we haven't actually been able to physically talk for quite a while. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Well, we
We
got
gotta
to
do-
remedy that today, and we'll have to definitely remedy it in the future. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Before we finish, I just want to just give a brief little thing to a lot of the fans that are watching, because I thought of it earlier of playing live on TV when we do like a midnight special, which was live. You guys were live. We were actually playing live on that show because a lot of
Yeah.
people lip sync nowadays, but it was live back then. And the first time we did a show on the what was it called? The ladies show. It was on CBS, Dinah Shore. It was the
Dinah
Dinah Shore show. And we went to CBS and set up the group and we played back. And I realized when I started Bold and Beautiful, my first scene on the show was in that same spot that I had done the Dinah Shore show. I don't know how many years before. I was standing on the same thing. I went, wow, I just realized I'm in the same position that I was way back there at CBS because I
great.
recognized the sounding. But I just wanted to give that to the fans as a little sort of trivia tidbit that was kind of cool. The way circles come around. But I want to thank everybody, all of the people that tuned in today. That was so wonderful from all
Yes,
over the
thank you.
world. So many people from all over the world. Such a great group of people. And please share to Facebook, to YouTube, and to Instagram or wherever. Share it so that we can spread the word that we do this every Sunday 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and I think it's 8 o'clock in Europe, 8 o'clock p.m. p.m. in Europe. And we're going to be here every day, every Sunday. And we have, where did John Ford Coley go? Where did he go? Did he just take himself out here? I hope I didn't.
I don't
didn't
know.
think. Anyway, hopefully, John, come on back in if you can. So John Ford Coley was our guest, and we're very happy to have him on as our official first musical guest.
It was hilarious, as I knew it would be. He's just
Absolutely.
he has so many stories.
He's got so many stories, and he's got that book. What was the title of the book? Do you remember, Fly?
No. I'm sorry.
Look up John Ford Coley and the book that he wrote recently. It's a story of road stories and funny stuff and all. So very cool. So I hope he comes back in. But
we just lost I think between the two of us, we just lost any chance of ever taking over the Tonight Show. It would never happen. You always had that book. You have a copy of the book right there.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, well, I hope he comes back in. I didn't do anything to put him out. So anyway, if he comes back in, we'll say a quick goodbye.
Either way, it's great to see him again. I haven't seen him in a while anyway. It's just almost like gathering in the dressing room, like we've done so many times, and just hanging out and catching up, So it was great. I loved it.
Be cool if the three of us could get together and do a show together at some point all together. Here, hold on.
Question about that? Sure, absolutely.
Oh, he says his phone rang. He got cut off the podcast. Thank you again. I'm gonna just say, come back in just quickly. Let's see if he gets this. Just to say goodbye. But yeah, wouldn't it be cool to do one of those singer-songwriter things that Johnny was referring to?
Yep. That's really that's always a good thing. It's like a live audience. It's a wonderful and intimate way to communicate, and to get people to really speak to people. If you have a message, if you feel like your song has a message, you really feel like you can speak to the people with it in that environment. That's what's magical about it to me.
That intimate environment is always great. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Our time is up. John Ford Coley he got a phone call and he went, just bring me in again, which we will definitely do. We love having him on.
Okay.
He'll be a guest at another time as well. Fly, thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
And,
once again, really nice.
Great song you played. It's always nice to hear the acoustic stuff. It's so nice.
Thank you so much. Hey,
so I'm gonna go out of Instagram first, and we will do that one. So goodbye, everybody, and thank you so much. And we will be back next Sunday, same time, same station, on all three networks. Call them networks. And we love you guys very much, and we can't wait to see you next week. So ciao, ciao, and keep yourself sane in this crazy ass world we're in. Bye.